Welcome back to the Legacy Virtual Users Group. Every day is Tuesday's Tip Day, a series of tips explaining and playing with Legacy features, both well-known and some little-known ones. Why? Because this is how our Legacy Virtual Users Group community here on Google Plus celebrates Family History Month. And today, we're going to show you how to fix that little problem that sometimes happens when you get ahead of yourself. Sometimes I type faster than I think. Perhaps you received a family group sheet that you're adding to your database, or maybe you imported a GEDCOM that has some errors in it. And that's another reason why importing GEDCOMs is not a very good idea. Or if you are like me, perhaps you're multitasking, or as I like to call it, doing several things poorly all at the same time. Now, of course, this problem could be solved by being completely in the moment while you work on your family history. But do any of us have those perfect moments? I thought not. So what have you noticed is wrong with your data? Well, in what we'll be discussing today, the gender of an individual is wrong, or the genders of a couple are wrong. Yes, I'm talking about entering Margaret Kavanaugh as a male or Michael Shaughnessy as a female. It happens. And sometimes we don't notice it when we first add the individual. Sometimes we don't notice it until we start entering marriage or children. Yikes! How do we change the gender of an individual or a couple in our Legacy database? First things first, when you catch one of these types of errors, take a breath and then think about the Beatles. I want you to have the song Help running through your head whenever you don't understand something in Legacy, when you think you've made a data entry error, or when you wonder how to do something before you attempt to do it. Think about the song lyrics and turn to Help, and those Help tabs are everywhere in Legacy. And know that Legacy Help and our Legacy Virtual Users Group are happy to help, especially if you say, "Please, please help me." Clicking on the Help tab and typing in the keyword gender and then clicking on Display brings up the general information about data entry, including gender. We have some choices here: male, female, and unknown. I think male and female are pretty clear, but why unknown? Well, in my case, oftentimes the gender of a premature or stillborn baby is not listed on the baptism or death record. Sometimes we learn the name of an individual and we're unsure of the gender. Entering it as unknown is the best choice so that we'll do further research to find the gender. Making a guess based on the name, whether that's Marion, Kim, or Dagny, is not your best plan. But if you went ahead and entered a gender only to find that it's incorrect, or if you simply started entering data without realizing that the default is male, and you've now discovered your error, then hum a few bars of the Beatles song, click on Help, and enter the keyword phrase gender change, and the explanation is shown on the right-hand side. Check it out on your own and maybe add it to your favorites. But in the meantime, let's walk through gender changes in Legacy. At the outset, we can add individuals from the Add tab on the Legacy toolbar or ribbon, whether that's an additional spouse, a husband or wife, whether it's a child, a son or daughter, or we could add parents or siblings. We can also add unlinked individuals, either a male or female. There's always a number of ways of doing things in Legacy. If we were working in the name list, we could see the gender right there in the list and if need be, make the necessary change. But only if the individual is not connected with a spouse and/or children. So in this case, James Joseph Murphy cannot be edited in the Edit tab in the name list, and those choices are grayed out. If you take a look at the Family tab, you can easily see the reason. He has a wife and 7 children, parents, and a sibling, and that's too many people who'd be affected by any change in gender. This one would require a bit more work. And a quick reminder that any tab, whether here in the name list or in the notes view, that has an asterisk has information included, so always click through and check it out. Now, in the case of John Murphy, who doesn't have a wife or children, he can be edited in the name list, and this makes sense from the standpoint of not wanting to mess up your data entry any further with a quick fix. As you can see, the male, female, and unknown buttons are not grayed out here. Now suppose we had Margaret Davy as female, but we realized this was incorrect. Perhaps we had her given name wrong, or even with the name Margaret, this individual is a male. We can open the individual information view, and as you can see, the gender choices are not grayed out because there's no spouse or children. So we can simply change the gender choice to male. Once we save our changes, Legacy makes the gender change to male. Now if we change the gender to unknown, as you can see, the name is italicized and unknowns show up on the male side of the family view. As you can see, gender is shown first with color. Males are in blue, females in purple, and unknowns in black. And I've customized the colors. You can do that as well. And second, gender is shown with the font style. Unknowns are italicized, known genders are not italicized. Let's give James Murphy and Ellen Kiley a bit of a rest and pick on another Murphy, Mary Murphy and her husband John Burns. Here we are in the family view. Now, if we found that we'd made a mistake in our ads, we could use the Edit tab on the Legacy toolbar and edit, delete, unlink, or for our purposes today, we could swap the husband and wife. When we click on Swap Husband and Wife, Legacy is a bit concerned and gives us a warning. Personally, I like these warnings. It's a bit of a wake-up call. Legacy is basically saying, "Hey Tessa, you just clicked something. Is that what you intended? Do you know what that click will do to your database? Okay, do you still want to do it?" Legacy makes you take responsibility. You have to click OK, or you can always cancel. So let's go out on a limb here, all for the sake of learning together, and click OK. Now Mary Murphy is the husband and John Burns is the wife. And do you see that it switched the parents to the correct sides of the equation as well? Pretty sweet if you made that mistake and needed to fix it. And always remember, if you play around with these choices, return your people to their correct genders and places. And be sure to check out the Options tab on the Legacy toolbar, and you can choose Customize, and then Section 8, View, and Item 8.9. If you don't have a picture associated with your individuals in your Legacy database, you can always click on Including a Placeholder Silhouette. And now James Murphy and Ellen Kiley Murphy and all the rest of my people have an additional visual cue as to gender. Now, I've shown you where the help section for gender change is, where the gender choices are in our Legacy databases, how to find and make the easy corrections when we discover an error and need to correct from one gender to the other or to the unknown, and how to swap the gender for a husband and wife. There might be some tricky ones where you have lots of connections, and in that case, you're going to need to tread carefully. You'll need to make some notes and then engage in unlinking of individuals, corrections, and then relinking the individuals. But that's a video for another day. Thanks for joining us each day during the month of October as we celebrate Family History Month by using the letters of the alphabet to learn more about our Legacy software and features. See you back here tomorrow for the letter H.